Made some enhancements to our turn module. Previously, we were limited in that your geometry, when you created your geometry for your turn part, the geometry had to lie on the x-axis and touch the z-axis. Now, and that really caused some problems if, when you're parting off on the back of the part, and when you have your part, if you don't have enough part material or stock material behind the part, then it made that impossible to do the cutoff or difficult to do the part op operation in the back. Now your part can be offset out from the x-axis, and it'll automatically compensate for that when it defines the part geometry, which makes it a lot easier. And then we added some enhancements to retractions, and this comes in handy when you're doing ID machining, finishing, and roughing in an ID. Now we're retracting linearly back out to the clearance plane and not diagonally from the last cut point. I'll show you that in just a moment as well. If you use the turning operations a lot, you will notice that enhancement. So here it is right here in the turning module. If you look at the tool here, we're cutting an inside finishing operation. And if you look at the red, it's retracting back out all the way out to the clearance plane. And then also on the right, your part doesn't have to be touching the x-axis, and I'll show you that as well. So what we were talking about in turning is your geometry doesn't have to touch the x-axis. Previously, this profile had to go all the way back to the x-axis, okay? And then actually, I believe it had to touch the the z-axis as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. But now you can offset your geometry out from the x-axis, leave some room behind there to do a parting off operation, and then it'll calculate the part for you. If we look at the part, it'll extend it for you. So it's extending it out automatically to the x-axis, and then it's extending it to the z-axis. And that comes in really handy if you're doing some cutting off on the back side. So let's look at, just show you the turn finishing retracts, where it's starting here, and it's doing starting here and cutting your finishing operation. And now in 2023, we ensure that it does a linearized retract straight out to the clearance plane. Previously, we was going from this point, it could be a diagonal retract, which was
it was not a diagonal retract. No, it was actually retracting back to the center point, or the center axis is the z-axis in this case. And so it would stop there. And then if you had an operation after that, then it would go from, because since we don't insert any motions between operations, it's going to take off from wherever the tool was and go to the start of the next operation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that ended up as, in most cases, as a diagonal cutting into the part. So, what we do now is we retract to this clearance plane, safe clearance plane, so that will never happen.
Yeah, it'll always go back to the clearance plane before it starts the next cut. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into, I believe we covered everything except for 5-axis.